Welcome to Vilnius. This week's episode of Nature Pact was recorded in Lithuania, where I'm speaking with the head of the local green tech hub and entrepreneur building a mycelium startup. Enjoy the show. My first guest is Teresė Škutaitė, who is the head of the green tech hub of Lithuania. Welcome to Nature Pact.
Welcome.
Tell us in a few words, what do you exactly do?
So, my name is Teresė Škutaitė. I'm the head at Green Tech Hub at Innovation Agency Lithuania. To start with a little bit broader perspective, Innovation Agency Lithuania is the main business support agency that we have here, and it is the main facilitator of the ecosystem of innovators here.
Good. How is the green tech sector doing in Lithuania in October 2024?
Yes, we've been seeing a rapid growth in clean tech in Lithuania because a few recent years have offered major shifts in the geopolitical situation here in the region, and there were many economic challenges, and partly because of that we are seeing a growing ecosystem of startups and scale-ups that are offering to solve these problems. And I think one of the major benchmarks that pushed this transition was, of course, the Ukraine's war in Russia, which pushed for a huge increase in the renewable energy sector here in Lithuania. And our national strategy claims that we should go fully by renewable energy sources by the year 2030. So that is why we are very strong on the renewable energy innovations, not because of the entrepreneurial point, but also because it is vital for our security. And I think the startup, the community of entrepreneurs really get the spirit of energy independence and, of course, the
energy resilience.
Energy resilience, yes,
is a big word here.
Yes, most definitely.
I remember it wasn't very many years ago when Lithuania was still buying nuclear energy from Belarus, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, so these times are in the past.
These times are in the past indeed. Lithuania has been very vocal about its energy independence and energy resilience, and that is why we've been investing major resources into the renewable energy in general, and we've been supporting a lot of companies, not only innovators, but also we have a lot of measures for traditional industry companies to really
infrastructure to put up the windmills and put up the solar panels and things like that, right?
Yes, exactly. So I think it could be stated that we are working both on the demand and the supply side of the renewable energy, and that is a very good start and a good road ahead of us. But in general, if we're back to the Lithuanian green technologies ecosystem in general, there are also two more, I would say, strong directions that are also growing rapidly. So this is the mobility sector. We also have several good scale-ups that are attracting major investments in the mobility, and also we have many startups and even a unicorn that offers innovative circular economy solutions. So you probably heard Vinted, maybe you have something when you bought from Vinted. So Vinted is our flagmanship unicorn that is proposing innovative circular economy solutions, but there are more. So this sector is really diverse. It consists of several main areas, but we also observe an increase in other subsectors in clean tech, such as alternative proteins, for instance. That's also the agri-food tech in general is starting to grow in Lithuania as well. So it is a diverse market. It's very open for innovation, as our market is rapidly small. It's easier for us, to innovate and to adapt to changes. However, there are, of course, other challenges that the small market offers. But in general, the mood is very positive. We are looking very much into the future.
Is it 3 million people roughly, or more?
Yes, roughly.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be. Now, to be fair, it's a little bit less than that. Yeah. But we are trying to position ourselves as a country of 3 million.
Okay, fair enough. You mentioned that on the kind of energy resilience has been one of the big themes. On that side, there is the traditional investments in wind, solar, what else, right? But on the technology side, is there any good examples you could draw out? What are the companies doing?
Most definitely. So if we dive a little bit more deeper into renewable energy, I think I would suggest that two major directions are the biggest in Lithuania for now. So it's solar and wind energy. So if we're discussing solar, we have a huge manufacturer, which is Solitech, which is the largest, I believe, manufacturer of components for solar panels in the northern region. So this is an absolute flagmanship that is producing not only software but the hardware for the solar panels, so that is definitely driving industry forwards. But also Lithuanian innovation market is very interesting because we have several very good cases of scale-ups of very successful startups such as PVKs or Indian that are producing the software for solar panels and of the efficient. So I think that solar is definitely the main keyword in the Lithuanian green technologies ecosystem, and we are of course expecting this ecosystem to grow as well. And wind energy is also something that we are trying to incentivize and to push forward. So there is a first wind offshore park being developed, and there are lots of investments from the state side as well to dedicated to the infrastructure needed for these technologies.
Wind offshore or onshore seems to me personally like a very easy target. If you think about the resilience. I mean, coming from Estonia, I've also been pondering a little bit what on earth are they doing, planning massive windmill parks in the middle of the Baltic Sea, like almost in international waters. Who will protect them? I mean, it's a big question mark to me, at least.
Yes, you've raised an interesting question indeed. However, we are very eager on our safety. If we, jump just a little bit, to the politics side. Yes. We are increasing our investments in the defense industry majorly. And defense innovation, by the way, is also a big topic that is being discussed here in Lithuania. But in general, our goal is to, to divide 4% of GDP directly to our defense, and we are very active. We have a lot of the foreign allies dislocated here in Lithuania, the Germans, and we are very strong and vocal in international alliances. So we are working on our defense, and I think from all of the sides that are needed, and we have trust in the international alliances that we are a part of, and that is why we're moving forward with these technologies.
You mentioned that one of these companies actually making hardware for solar panels.
Yes.
I thought that market was taken over by the Chinese.
That's a very nice remark, because I think the representatives from Solitech would agree with me that this is an incredibly difficult market, because China has a very big dominance, and this is not only a problem that Lithuania is facing. The overall, European strategy and the Net Zero Industry Act faces a huge emphasis on producing, I believe, 40% of clean technologies here in Europe, so extracting materials, reusing and recycling materials needed for the manufacturing of clean technologies. So yes, there are definitely challenges. However, Solitech is implementing a lot of international projects, and they are moving with exports, and they have a sustainable and promising business model. But we are very much eager, to gather more of the EU support, and with the uprise of the new Commission, we are hoping that the Net Zero Industry Act will come into these very specific policy support measures, so we can really, as the continent, not only here in Lithuania, to win the race for clean technologies, because right now China is leaving us backwards.
The NATO's Energy Security Center is also in Lithuania. That's interesting.
Yes, indeed. So during the last years, as I've mentioned also, as Lithuania has been, I'm biased of course, but I will
That's
say
okay.
Yes, Lithuania has been, I think, one of the most vocal countries regarding the Russia's conflict in Ukraine, and that is what really, catalyzed some of the synergies between industries and energy security, and the role of clean technologies in energy systems. Energy management systems is also something that we are really, trying to push forward and to find those connections within the industry, because if we look, Lithuania's economy is quite traditional. By example, it's very much based in the traditional industry. We have a lot of traditional manufacturers in the chemistry, foods, construction industries, etc. And that is what we have a lot of infrastructure, and we know how to use it. And now it is our time, to come up with the new innovative technological solutions and to connect industries towards the goals that we are aiming.
In addition to solar and wind, what else of the kind of the green tech sector? Oh, you mentioned the alternative proteins, of course, also. Well,
yes.
Yeah, I also had a good chat with a gentleman from one of the fungi growing companies, right?
Yeah, Biohifas, probably.
Thomas, right?
Thomas, yes. Yeah, that's very good to hear. The agri-food tech sector in general is it's a perspective, but it still has a lot of growth to do. However, we are seeing, some positive examples such as Biohifas that you've been speaking to, that are, producing these sustainable and clean alternative protein solutions. And even though the market is not big that yet, we have, I believe, 33 as of official, startups operating in the field. But we really believe that there is more potential to export these solutions because, as I've just mentioned, we are a country of manufacturers and the food industry is strong in general. Yes, and I don't know, Thomas probably mentioned that, but the production that his company is developing is made from the recycled parts of the beer production. So beer is also, of course, a big thing here in Lithuania in the industry of beverages. So this is really one of the areas that helps to connect, traditional industry manufacturers with innovators, and this is something that we are aiming to do. Yes, and as I've also mentioned, we also have a growth of innovative companies that are proposing different solutions in circularity in general. And for instance, we have a couple of examples that I would also like to attract companies like Ovoco, that is an online marketplace that connects car parts sellers, dismantlers, and recycles with car dealers. So we are trying, to reduce the rate of consumption in the cars market and to reuse as many parts as possible. And there is also a similar company called Ruby, which is a startup specializing in electric bike conversion kits. So they are also working, to engage the circularity goals in the industry and to ensure that more of the consumption is being reused in the cycle. And also we have several financing platforms actually that are very much working.
Impact investing or the green investing.
Yes,
okay.
Impact and green investments, and we have a very successful case that is focused on the financing projects in agriculture sector. And as you know, agriculture. Heavy finance, heavy finance indeed.
Heavy finance was visiting Nature back maybe a year ago.
Really? Yes. Okay. That is very cool. So yes, so climate tech investment marketplaces are also where we are seeing some growth here, and we believe that the ecosystem will expand.
Logical.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Going forward, if you would be doing your job 5 years from now, what would be something which would make you really proud?
I think in order to really scale up the ecosystem of green technologies, for now we are facing several major challenges, which is number one, of course, financing, because as I've said, Lithuania is a small market and there are, a start of the venture capital funds and some international funds that are, that Lithuania is attracting attention. However, the overall access to capital is quite difficult in Lithuania, and it's both from public funds and the private, capital that could be raised. So I would be very proud if we would have major, venture capital players from international markets interesting here in the technologies that we are producing and scaling and exporting. And the second is the race for talents. We know that especially the hardware manufacturing dedicated to clean technologies requires very complex engineering skills, and this is also a problem that the representatives from the industry has been, very vocal about for quite some time, because the race for talents is ongoing, and even though Lithuania's economy overall is growing very rapidly, like we've seen, I probably would say some of the biggest growth in the EU and in the Baltics in the last decade or so. However, we are still, losing the international race, because it's hard to attract a very A-level specialists, engineers, IT engineers, and in general innovators and entrepreneurs that would work here. And well, of course, on the broader perspective, I don't think that I'll be able to solve this in the 5 years' time, but I will sure play my part. The whole EU regulatory framework is not as competitive as, for instance, if we are putting it with the USA, and that is why we're seeing a trend that a lot of European startups they begin here, they scale up, and then they move to the USA because the regulatory environment is just much better. So I really do have a hope, and I will play my part that with the implementation of the European Net Zero Industry Act and the Critical Raw Materials Act as an addition, that we will really help the process of growing and scaling green technologies here easier with less bureaucracy. We will make the access to capital more attractive for the companies, more easier. We'll attract more talents, and we will put some regulatory cases forward to really help the sector scale up.
When you say that, I don't think that I will be able to fix it within the next 5 years. I was thinking like you will be saying that climate change or something much bigger than the EU regulator.
You are underestimating the power of the EU regulations. No, of course, well, it goes without saying the climate crisis is the biggest threat that we are facing, but however, if we are discussing the involvement of green technologies, it may sound ironic, but it works as a catalyzer as well as an incentive to work faster, and because our industry needs to. We need the clean technologies here not only to export and to create economic profit, but we need to make the industry here greener and to really create the environmental impact for the people here in Lithuania.
Great to hear that you have a plan in place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
And the next interview is with Tomas Byckovas from Biohifas. Enjoy. Tell in a few words, what are we exactly building?
We are building technology how to use side streams and make them into the food.
Okay.
So that's the main core of our idea. It's as well connected with alternative proteins, but the most important part that we just not only use like alternative proteins from prime sources, but we find ways how to upcycle what is not used anymore or used in low value chains, product chains.
Okay. And side streams could be anything? Waste food?
For us, it's we couldn't take like food waste because it's already processed, and when we get it, it's already kind of start some processes inside. So we are looking into industrial food and beverage side streams, which are in big factories in big quantities, and where it's possible to control it to get it, safe for food consumption.
What would be a good example?
Beer breweries.
Okay.
They're in every world, in every country, and it's a lot of waste there, and it's possible to control it to make it food grade.
Okay.
As well, it can be sugarcane factories. It can be,
distillery.
Yeah.
Okay. Where did the idea come from?
Well, actually, I was building a house also from waste. I was using wheat straws, where it's like this clay bay houses I was building. And at the same time, I was going through some courses about alternative protein field. And there I found out about fermentation technologies, about different microorganisms used for producing proteins from microorganisms. And that was the idea. I was building a house from waste, and I was reading that it's possible to use microorganisms to ferment the waste.
Okay. And is there some special know-how related, or do you have biologists in the team, or are you a biologist yourself, or what's their background?
Yeah, my background is management, business information management. And I was working for animal rights for a long time, been activist. So I'm more concentrated on, kind of marketing, on business development. And in the team, there are two scientists. One of them is PhD. Paulina, she's has background in fermentation and food technology. And other scientist, he's PhD candidate, and he is... his thesis is on how to cultivate mushrooms on side streams.
So basically, the fermentation you're doing is related to mushrooms?
Sorry?
Mushrooms are related to what you do, or?
Yeah. So we use like, there is a fungi. So the mushroom is the fruiting body, the top, and then there is a mycelium, which is the roots. So we exploit the roots. We don't grow, what is on the surface. And our goal is to kind of make the substrate from side streams. So it's like in nature, there is earth, where the mycelium, the roots grows. So we kind of create the substrate from side streams, and then the mushroom roots grows there.
This seems to be like a really, field which is expanding or thriving.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of the fungi companies also in the podcast series. I think we have had like 4 or 5.
Okay.
We had Anita from Finland who's doing it really kind of on the industrial scale, right?
Okay.
And some of the American companies and some of the scientists are doing fungi batteries. So it's been one of the kind of over 100 episodes. Well, quite several of them have been talking about the fungi.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, I'm amazed by the fungi. This is an amazing microorganism. I mean, we use, solid state fermentation, and there is this interesting, technology of precise fermentation, where you can, take the fungi, edit it with genes, and it can produce different molecules. So that is something that really, really amazing.
How far are you with building the company? Well, how many people, or how much have you raised capital, or how far are you on that road?
We started 1.5 years ago, and what we managed to get is we experimented with like 13 different side streams with 12 different fungi strains, and we raised 140,000 euros. So we have 3 co-founders. We have 3 part-time people working for us. And so we just, at this event, we showcased our first prototype, which was tacos with our ingredient. So that's where we are, and we're looking to try the pilot. That's where we're raising money to kind of see how we can make, not in like 5-10 kgs, but we can make in tons.
What are the next milestones? Was my next question.
So we're developing our technology to fit it into the shipping container. So we want to plug those shipping containers next to breweries. And the next step is to kind of design this modular facility. And then, we want to raise money to, start building it and see how we can upcycle directly from their breweries the side stream.
What are the biggest kind of stumbling blocks, or what's the kind of the challenges on the road at the moment?
Well, the scaling is the thing is even, scaling from like 1 kg to 10 kg is already microorganisms act differently, different parameters. So that's the biggest challenge, how to control and manage all those things. And next thing is in the bigger quantities, upcycling the side streams is to those bioreactors, how to make them, working in a big size.
Absolutely. If you would need to kind of describe the state of the ecosystem around you. We are doing this interview in the middle of the startup fair in Vilnius. It's early October. It's raining, and the news about the startup world over the last couple of years have been like raining and cold. How would you describe this space?
Well, I'm local. I'm Lithuanian, so I'm so thankful that, I can do what I'm doing, and I receive a lot of support from government, from ministry, from governmental agencies. There's really vibrant and enthusiastic business angel community. There is various acceleration and incubation programs. There are VCs which are starting to get interested into the deep tech, not only, in digital fintech things. So, and there is, people who are willing to join the startups. So I guess there's a great opportunity here in Lithuania.
And it seems there startups are popping up like fungi, right?
That's right. Yeah, just the rain started, so there's going to be a lot of startups.
I think that's a good point to wrap up. Thank you, and good luck on your road.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
If you like the show, subscribe and leave a good rating on the podcast platform of your choice. It would mean a world to us.
Have you ever wondered what actually happens in Congress every day? Stay informed on Capitol Hill's daily happenings with a concise, factual summary of the Senate and House of Representatives activities from the previous session, free from bias, on the Congressional Record Daily Digest podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and discover the process from the heart of U.S. politics. The Congressional Record Daily Digest, an Electricast production.
Electricast.
Welcome to Entrepreneurs Exposed, where we dive into the stories of visionary entrepreneurs revolutionizing the workforce. Our ongoing mission is to showcase founders and creators doing amazing things in business and beyond. If you're a founder, CEO, tech enthusiast, or someone generally interested in startup land, join me, Adam Levinter, as I dive into what makes an entrepreneur an entrepreneur. Find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Electricast.